Good night, chatters. How y'all doing tonight? So, we're just having a very open conversation tonight. I will be reading you someone's real story. This is just a live, allowing somebody's story to be told. I'm going to read a letter for you. And I want you to know that over at Chit Chat TV, we have hard talk, but real talk conversations. So, stories that I bring to you are not fabricated, they are really true stories from real people that I know. I want you tonight to take a time to share the live. If you feel as though this story touches your heart and somebody can understand what somebody else is going through, I want you to share the story. I will be reading the story. It was sent to me and I'll be reading it out loud. Now, guys, the reason I'm reading this story tonight is to shed light on some of the things people deal with. Is to shed light on reality. And those who have followed me for a while, you know I share my personal story um, about dealing with inmates and people I love that's actually in prison and that have made mistakes that are they have to eventually be reconciled into society. So it's not an easy thing to tell somebody's story. It's emotional. When I read it, I was emotional, and you have to understand it is condensed the best possible way. It is written, typed out. How are you doing, blessed one? Hope everything is well with you. It is written, it's typed out, and it's sent to me directly from the correctional facility. At Chicha TV, we're open to all people. We're open to interviewing anyone who has a story to tell that is true. And we want you to know we are interview based. If you have not known what we have done in the past from YouTube, we have interviewed several people on different things. We're open to interviewing and you sharing your story, feeling like we're, a platform that you can share with. Um, this is not a place to cast judgment, but more so to listen. If someone is telling their story, we don't condone dishonor or disrespect in the chat because where you have been, I have not been. So I'll be reading a story and I will be reading it exactly how the person write it. And this area is entitled, bless up yourself, is entitled Regarding Abusers. For those who are just coming in, big up all my people on Facebook, big up all my people on YouTube. I appreciate all my true and genuine supporters. All my donors for our charity back to school, I appreciate you. Remember that you will not always like everything a person does on their own channel, but I think we all can exist in the world with difference in opinion. Okay? So I want you guys to know that when you come here, you be very respectful towards other people. and we'll be good. Now, I'm going to go ahead and start the story. So, regarding abusers is the part that this inmate titled this. Now, listen to this from a place of as though, like, if it was you. Okay? So, regarding abusers, starting when I was a little girl, as the youngest of 6 children, living in the country of Jamaica, I experienced abuse from several older cousins. Anybody can relate to that statement? Around the time I was 6, my mother left for America. I left I was left to live with my aunt in Jamaica. My father was a part of a farm working program where he would travel harvesting foods. He would be away for months. It was psychologically trying for me, although I knew that my parents loved me very much and worked to send money home for us. These absences made me feel alone and vulnerable and afraid because my cousins knew my parents were away and the caregiver worked extensively. Now, you remember if you're a Jamaican, you have a caregiver, somebody who comes over, wash the clothes for you, help you out, get the house cleaned up for you. Back in my days, I remember having a caregiver. I remember at a younger stage, we didn't have a caregiver all throughout, my lifetime, but because we became of age and was able to do certain things as young girls in the house, it's 4 girls, no boys. So we learned how to kind of wash our own clothes and stuff by then. But at one point, my parents were very busy people. They were both business people. They both run their businesses. And, um, you might not have enough time always to be home washing 10, when you think about it, how much bad pan of clothes. And for Jamaican people, you know how that is when you have a lot of kids. So the person says, and I will repeat, their absence, right, made me feel alone and vulnerable and afraid because my cousins knew that my parents were away and the caregiver worked extensively. She goes on to say, I never told anyone about the childhood abuse until I was later into womanhood because I was embarrassed and afraid. A part of the reason I did not say anything is cultural. What happens in the home stays in the home. Can anyone relate to that? What happens in the home stays in the home. There was also abuse from a community man. I would have to walk part of the way home from school. He would whistle to signal that I should come over to him, and he would take me to his dilapidated house. Anybody knows back in the day how the people the most brought down and little board house and little zinc top. When rain a fall, you hear the knives on the zinc. She said the man whistle for she come over the dilapidated house. Anyone can relate out there about that creep in the community that you never tell your parents about. He would give me mangoes and tell me not to tell my parents or anyone because they would not believe me after performing sexual acts. He stunk so bad. I have very vivid memories of this. Mighty God. So now he's taking advantage, but not only that, he stink bad. Shout out to all my supporters that are here on YouTube and on Facebook. Hit that like button if you're here. I appreciate that. Remember that without you, we don't get the views. We're a smaller platform. Continue to subscribe and follow us. Now they went on to say, there was another older person who worked on the bus and in the car lot in Jamaica whom I would see when I had to travel to catch a ride home. Behind the car park, there was a junkyard. He would perform sexual acts on me there. Mm-mm-mm. I don't know if there's anyone out there that is listening to me that you know say the man when hold in a one corner around one house back. Run one all house were broke down and around then carry go. Because as a little girl you were not protected, or as a little girl you didn't know how to speak up for yourself, or for whatever reason it may be. Your parents might be out of the country, and for this particular example, our parents was out of the country, they were off working, and people were aware of this current situation that these kids were vulnerable, their parents were traveling, so let me go right ahead and take advantage of this current situation. Now they went on to say, another occasion that contributed to my childhood abuse is also tied to Jamaican culture. We have people who live outside in huts in the bush. Lord God, no, sir. No, you know, I might try put in English, but you know what I mean. People who have the little house, them will never fully make for my Jamaican people. You're in the bush. I want a little partition. I want a little, you see what I say? In the bush. The person says, this one man wore very little and very revealing scraps instead of clothes. He was very fit from working out and chopping wood. He would lure me back to his hut and then send me away with his stench left on me. Now you imagine a man take you, well, he looked like he's a madman, because she said he didn't wear but little bit of scraps, but he was fit because he was always chopping what, wood. So this man probably have a six-pack, sweaty, stunk, smell, musty kind of chop wood all day. You understand? And she would leave with that man's odor or pheromone on her. They didn't care about pain or protection or disease. Oh, wow. But he did not worry. He could get me pregnant because I was a child. He didn't worry. Most men don't think a child can be pregnant. And ladies out there, if you know yourself, a lot of girls mature in an early stage of their life. And if you rape them, they can be pregnant. If you touch them in that sexual manner, any kind of penetration, they got ability to be pregnant. I see 10-year-old be pregnant before. So you got to be careful. None of them did, she said. None of them worried about the impact they would leave on a child under 10 years old. Oh, she's admitting she was under 10. Okay? They only cared about the release or pleasure or sexual gratification. She said speaking out was not an option. On every occasion I experienced immense terror, leaving me numb and silent. I felt like it was my fault for not saying anything. I tried to bury the memories in my subconscious mind until I turned to drugs to get high to forget. Chatters, if you're coming in here tonight, let me refresh your mind. I'm telling a story from an inmate in a correctional facility. This story was given to me, written to me. It brought me tears. You know I'm spontaneous. I didn't plan on reading it to you guys. But I said tonight, let me come out on this quick late night live. You know, that might be going on, but we're just reading and touching base with somebody's story. She said speaking out was not an option. And on every occasion I experienced immense terror. There was fear there. It left her numb and silent. She said, I felt like it was my fault for not saying anything. I tried to bury the memories. And in my subconscious mind, she think that turning to drugs and getting high was the solution. All right. So when you turn to drugs and all these things, which anybody can turn to drugs. You're not better than drugs. You can turn to alcohol, you can turn to sex, you can turn to other habits, food. Some people after a relationship they become real fat because they eat to depression. There's some people that when they're depressed, they eat and that's their way. They'll sit and eat tubs of ice cream, tubs of food. So everyone deals with depression in a different way. And for her, drugs was the option and the solution she used at that time. You know how some people have a fear of heights? Question mark. Or of dogs? Question mark. Well, I had a fear of men. I was afraid of them. I would freeze up whenever someone talked to me. I feel like my will or my choice as a child was not superior to a man's, and I would never tell even my best friend about this. I moved to America, and she stated the date in 2003. I graduated high school here. I got pregnant and gave birth to a child who was later diagnosed with autism. When he was 4, the father and I are not together, but we have a good relationship. To support my family, I held numerous jobs and various training certificates. I was not doing any drugs. I did community service. I was very involved in the church and missionary and outreach work. And I volunteered in different places. I went to GCC and NCC for different educational programs, and I was in a great place in my life. While doing these things, I got into a relationship with a woman. Guys, this is where it gets a little deeper. If you're coming in and you're not following the page, please follow us. Just know this is someone's story we're telling. We're not here to cast judgment. We're not here to discriminate. We're just here to share the truth that someone has lived and is now learning to overcome and has overcome some of these challenges that has taken place in their lives already. So let me go on. While doing these things, I got into a relationship with a woman I met at church. She was my friend first, and then it became serious. I knew she had many mental and psychological issues, but it did not start out bad. I did not want to judge her, so I accepted her and her problems as I felt she did mine. Let's take a breather and think about this honestly. Take a breather to think about the depth of this when you say you meet a woman in church that you was friends with in God's house. What that is like. And how much woman has gone into church or a place where you feel like you may need help or something and you end up in another bad circumstance because what? Human beings go to church. Church is not a place that says we're all saved. Church is a place that a sick goes to get help. It's a place that you know you're supposed to be able to get some sort of help, even though nowadays we got churches that are just stealing from people, robbing people, scamming people. But when you're in a good church, it's a place that you can look for comfort and peace, a sense of comfort and peace when it's a good church. Anybody out there that's listening to me, and if you've experienced a good church, you know what I'm talking about. If they're helpful, they're nice, they're kind, they're there for you when you have a. So if they're doing God's work, they're not going to make you feel isolated. So she's saying she went into the church and she met a woman there that was just her friend. It was nothing like that. And it turned into a whole debacle. So let's move on and hear what she got to say. However, her problems got bigger as we got more serious. Now, earlier she mentioned about this person having psychological issues and mental health. And even though she was aware of it, she was willing to undertake that type of a situation in a relationship. And this is sometimes the mistakes we make when we undergo relationships. We feel pitiful for people. We feel sorry. But we have to know that when we're not in a place of strength, we can't always try to be strong for someone unless they, sometimes you find yourself in a place where you're just weak and you're trying to be strong. And before you know it, they bring you down to the level that they're at. So in this story, you'll see how that is what actually transpired. Is that instead of that person playing a role of strength and godliness, they succumbed to their own weaknesses when it pertains to the connectivity with this other human being. Now, however, her problems got bigger as we got more serious. She became very paranoid and controlling, demanding to know where I was. Mhm. But I didn't look at it as abnormal. I thought it was a healthy and good thing. Chatters, most of us think that when a man, I'm a woman, so I'm going to say, when a man gives you all that attention, you're thinking, oh, he loves me. No, sometimes it's an issue there beyond just love. So she's saying, as she stated, she became very paranoid and controlling, demanding to know where I was. But I didn't look at it as abnormal. She accepted it. I thought it was a healthy and good thing because I did not know what a good relationship looked like. I am learning though. At this point, I felt so intertwined with her. I was blind. I was blinded by our relationship and it became all consuming. Any adults out there can say if you're with a man and you started having sexual relationships with him, you can become blinded by the cocky problem. Anybody out there that understand what the cocky problem is? Yeah, you become a little boosted by the D. I know a lot of you out there call it a different name. The peeny wally upon them, ratatatata, the lick down, drop down, the lick in the head corner. There's something they want tantalize you and energize you. Yeah, yeah, you. Something what some of you can't live without. So you know how life go. That very same thing. You crave it, but it's on the other side in a female form. So no, this person is paranoid, they're controlling, but you don't look at it as abnormal. You're thinking it's okay. It's fine. So no, you're intertwined with that person. And you're getting a relationship and continue the relationship. And she stated it became all consuming. She said she came before my friends, my family. I made her my everything because I never received that kind of love and attention. I choose the toxicity over the love of my family. I didn't pay attention to any of the warning signs. Okay? The inconsistencies, the lies, changing patterns, controlling behavior. Let me turn the page. Now, how much of us have women out there can relate to this? We know the man is toxic, but we pick him up and go grind him same way. I just the Jamaican truth, raw. I talk real talk. Still, I take the thing because say you know nothing. You say, you know as a big woman, no me I talk about me now call no pitney, How we big woman them we send call. So now she knows all this problem. You have psychological issue, mental issue, controlling issue. It's abnormal, but she didn't realize it because she never get that level of attention. Parents, please give your kids attention at an early age. Let your daughters, fathers, let your daughters know they're valuable. You are their first love. Mothers, let your sons know they're valuable. You are their first love. So when they go out there in the world, they're not seeking love and attention because for some reason, like we stated in the beginning of the story, her parents went away at an early age. They traveled to make money for the family, and any immigrant out there, I'm a Jamaican. We know how this stuff go. We parents travel, they try to get an opportunity to another country to work money, and you neglect your own children. We have done this. Parents take responsibility for this. It affects your kids. So now when you look, she was lacking in attention. She wasn't covered the way she needed because both of the parents were gone. And now she's getting love at an adult stage that she has never in her entire life got. She goes on to say, all right, she was very paranoid that I was going to judge her. So she became extremely defensive and constantly accused me of not loving her. I was terrified of losing that love from her. So I felt like I had to constantly commit my attention to her. I eventually introduced her to my son, who loved her. I thought that I could pull her out of her hole. So I decided to be the light in her circle of friends. I thought I was strong enough. I didn't work out that way. She didn't. So think about it. She introduced this woman to her son. She stated earlier in the story her son is autistic. So an autistic child is not going to know the type of relationship per se that you're having, but rather if you treat them with love and respect, a kid will love you whether they're autistic or not. But she thought she was strong enough. You're trusting in yourself. You better know you can't. It didn't work out that way though. I started getting high with her. My pastor told me that the relationship would not end well. But guess what? I did not listen. I ended up turning my back on the family and the ones who truly loved me, the ones I loved regardless of the abuse. Her pastor told her she didn't listen. She craved this love so bad. The abuse started psychologically, probably about a year into the relationship with her, doubting me, disregarded me, distrusting me, accusing me of cheating. Go through my phone, calling numbers to see who it was. Y'all know how them insecure people get. Get in your phone. You ever dealt with a man that be in your phone or a female that be in your phone? You can't trust nobody. They just be in your phone, searching. No matter what you tell them, they're insecure. Even my son's doctor or insurance companies this person was calling. 1 second. Let me see. I'm getting a call here. Let me check something. Wait. Wait. Let me tell this person I'm on live. All right, sorry guys. I'm on live. Hold on. I'm have to call that person back. All right. So let's move on. Even my son's doctor or insurance company. So this person went out of the way to call the insurance companies, doctors. But that's to show you how bizarre it was, right? Let's move on. It got very controlling. For example, if we got high, we might go out and do things like feed the people. Lord Jesus, wait there. So what on there? You go to church, you meet the person, when you stop go church, but when you get high, you go feed people like church people. I can't. This is how the enemy works. He's the author of confusion. You do all this and then he tell you, all right, if you do a little good deed, you'll be all right. She moves on to say, like feed the poor. I started deceiving myself that the good we do outweighed the bad. Bad, like me losing my job and my apartment due to our relationship being so toxic. For example, if she would know that I had work, she would take the car or the car keys or my wallet or my card. On one occasion, she took the rent money And I borrowed this rent money from my mother. This girl went on to say, I burned a million bridges because I refused to give up on her, hoping that she would become better. It did not work at all. No, you can imagine, guys. Burning the bridges with your mama, burning the bridge with your brother, burning the bridge with your sister, burning the bridge with everybody. And the relationship still didn't work out. The pastor even told you this relationship will not work out. Cut it off. So she moves on to say, on the days I was not high, it would hurt so bad. One day I got high and took a bottle of ibuprofen 800, hoping that it would be my last headache. After doing that, I called my pastor at about 4 a.m. in the morning. I was rambling off to him, trying to explain the hurt and the pain that I was experiencing at the time as a result of my current circumstances and remembrance of my childhood abuse. Every man that abused me, in that moment I remember their smell, their touch, the pain, my feelings of disgust and being dirty. I am feeling the embarrassment telling this to a man at this age. I was in a state of mental dissolution where I finally wanted to tell somebody what had happened without judgment. The only person at that time I knew to speak to was my pastor. I felt embarrassed and ashamed because my parents had no knowledge of the abuse while they was working so hard in a foreign land to make our life better. Their baby, their baby was being abused in unimaginable ways. Yet I remained in silence because I feel hurt and embarrassed. I was extremely afraid. I would like to stress that fear of people that held me down. Shout out to all my supporters in the chat tonight. Hey, Lady V, my darling, my sister, I love you so much. Shout out to all my YouTube people. I got YouTube and Facebook over here tonight. We're doing a dark live, but Facebook see my face for 1 second. I'm not dead. I'm just don't feel like being up in the camera because I'm using the page and I'm reading from the book. I'm reading from the thing. I'm really literally reading the story out, guys. It's typed up to me and I'm reading it to you so you can have a late night moment. This won't last long because it's condensed, so we don't have a long way to go at all. But I just wanted to show you somebody's story, and I want to also invite you to share your story with Chit Chat TV. I want to also invite you to invite just anybody to share their story with Chit Chat TV. If you're going through something, you don't have to show your face here. You can be anonymous here, but just know that the world is listening to us and that you're safe when it comes to this. All right. Once again, for those who came in late, this story is from an inmate within the correctional facility that has realized and has come to the epitome that these things from the past is what caused me to endure and to make these choices. Lady V, you're in the house. You are a woman of dignity and respect, and you have come out so many times and shared some of the things you had to endure, and that you share also the story of your daughter and what she has went through publicly, and that some of the things that we go through, the traumas, cause us to make certain mistakes in our lives. And this is another example. We thank God for people like Lady V, who's not ashamed and afraid to continue to stand in the gap for people like this. And today, as I read this story to you, I'm standing in the gap for an inmate who wants to share why they ended up in the position that they ended up in. Now I'm going to put you back on the dark live because I don't feel like being on the camera. Okay? I'm turning the camera right up. Okay, please bear with me. We only have a few little bit more. She expressed a lot, but she did not express everything. She shared a lot, but she didn't share everything. All right, let's move on. Now, she says, one time I was getting high, and we had a domestic dispute. The neighbors called the cops. I remember knocking over the TV stand in an act of retaliation to show her that if you are a woman enough to keep hitting me, you should be able to replace a broken TV. Oh my gosh. Now, she goes on to say, when the cops showed up, we saw their lights out the window. Quickly, I tried straightening up. At this time, we lived on the second floor. And you had to get buzzed in to get in because of the neighborhood. The doors were held ajar by a small object. In the middle of the night, the cops banged on the door. She opened it. I quickly stood by the kitchen table, halfway clothed. The cops looked around. My first response was that they were performing sexual role play and apologized to the neighbors already and assured that it would never happen again. So she went ahead and lied to the cops and told the cops that they were performing sexual role play. So with all that drama, her trying to prove her authority in the relationship, the abusive, toxic relationship, knocking the TV out, she straightened up real quick. And them not having a quick access to the house, being that they got to be buzzed in, gave them some time to clean up all that little bit of mess before the popo got in there. So now she halfway dressed at the kitchen table pretending that they were having sexual acts. Do you see how we try to cover up all the time in life? And she's openly sharing that this is what she told the cops. That she has also went on to lie to the cops by saying they have already assured the neighbors it will never happen again. But it did. And it continued in every apartment we moved to until I went to jail. At a new apartment before I was charged with attempted murder and robbery, we had another domestic dispute where I was punched in the face so hard that even though I was very dark skinned, the bruise was visible at the time. At this time, I had to work the morning shift at Walmart as a cashier. I showed up in glasses, and my excuse was that I bumped into an open cupboard door while retrieving a cup to get a drink of water in the nighttime hours. Now you know how it is, chatters. When a man is an abuser and you sit there taking a whooping from the man and he beat you up the morning you got to work the next day. No, I've never been hit by a man. I've got a black eye in my life by nobody. But I'm just saying, I don't watch a lot of movies and I listen to a lot of women tell their stories. But that's exactly what she was doing, covering and lying. Now, the lies don't stop with the apartments. The lies are going now into the job. This level of toxicity is seeping into you keeping a job. Now, her excuse is that I bumped into an open cupboard while retrieving a cup to get a drink of water in the nighttime hours. Of course, that was incorrect, and I knew people didn't buy it. But the reason I said it is because oftentimes we were seen in public, so people already had a preconceived judgment of the relationship of who were the pawns in our relationship. The relationship ended when I came to prison. Even though she was not the victim, I do feel like this toxic relationship and the previous abuse led to the crime, and the crime would not have happened otherwise. I still go through a lot of regret about being in this relationship and having this happen. The types of abuse I've endured through this is physical, sexual, and psychological. And with this girlfriend at that time, there was a lot of instances of abuse, including emotional and financial. Okay? So, guys, I want you to know that is the story tonight, and it's just a small snaps of an inmate in prison telling their story. And we will be doing more of these often because Chit Chat TV is a place that we have hard talk, real talk conversations. Chit Chat TV is a place that we do allow people to share their story. So I don't want you to feel left out or you feel afraid. You're always welcome to sharing with Chit Chat TV. If you're here and you're not following the page, please ensure to follow us. Share out the videos for us. We appreciate when you share them. We really like that. Also, remember, if you're able or capable of donating to our back to school project, go and do so. We appreciate that. If not, share out our back to school promotions, all right? So we can get others that are capable and that don't know who we are yet to join the camp of the chatters, all right? If you're here and you are a content creator or you're somebody that just like doing things and you want people to see it, we do have a chatters mob group that you can share your content there. Go forward and do so. Just keep it very respectful. We want no sexual explicits over there. Please don't do so in our chat. Keep it respectful. It doesn't matter what language you speak or where you're from at Chit Chat TV. All people are welcome here. Please, when you leave here tonight, feel free to subscribe. We're not forcing you to do so, but do so. All my YouTube people, I appreciate you. All my true and my genuine supporters out there that's been rocking with Chit Chat TV from early and has been rocking with us now. I want you to know I appreciate you and I thank you so much tonight. Share this live so somebody can hear an inmate story. I love you guys so much. Thank you. It's your girl, Anik, and